Welcome to another installation of FJA Math Notebooks, FJA students. For today's installation, we're going to be doing multiplying and dividing integers. So you're going to need just this sheet of paper. You're going to need your notebook, title it Multiplying and Dividing Integers, glue, scissors, pencil, and as always, let's start by cutting out the dotted lines. You're only going to need one of these. I know I gave you two, but you're only going to need one. All right, so I've cut it out and I've folded it. You're actually going to put the glue over multiplying and dividing integers, and you're going to glue that down. In here, we're going to put our notes. So down here, maybe draw a line right down the middle. Okay. And so the most important thing for us to remember here is we're multiplying and dividing integers. So we're figuring out how can we multiply and divide numbers that are negative and positive. So negative and positive, and how does that interact? So let's make some notes. So on the multiplication side, let's start with that. Make these notes and then I'll explain them in a second. All right, so on this side, when we have a positive times a positive, that equals a positive times a negative, that equals negative. So you'll see I abbreviated. Negative times a negative number, that's going to be a positive, and a negative times a positive number, that's going to be a negative. Basic rule is if you multiply a positive by a negative, either way, it's a negative, but if the signs are the same, two positives or two negatives, then the answer will be positive. It's actually very similar for division, so I'm going to write those down, and then I'll explain it once I'm done. Take these notes in your notebook as well. So as you can see, the rules are pretty much exactly the same. If the signs are the same when you divide, then the answer is positive. If the signs are different, we've got a negative and a positive, then the answer is negative. Make sure you have those notes down, and then I'm going to do some practice problems. I'm going to write them down here first, and as I write them down, I'd like you all to try and solve them using these rules. All right, so our first problem, 3 times 2. Well, both of those numbers are positive. Even if I don't write a positive sign in front of the 2, 3 times 2 is two positive numbers, so the answer is going to be 6, and it's going to be positive 6. So that's an easy one. We're very used to that. Here's where it gets weird, though. 4 times negative 2. And you'll notice most people are going to put that negative 2 in parentheses in order to just make sure that everybody can really read it. So 4 times negative 2, well, that's a positive times a negative. So we come down here to our rules, positive times a negative. Well, that equals negative. So the answer is going to be negative 8. So we're still going to do 4 times 2. We know that's 8, but there's one negative sign, so the answer is negative 8. Now I've got negative 4 times negative 5. We've got two negatives, the same sign, multiplying them together. That means that our answer will be positive. So the answer is going to be 4 times 5. Well, I know that's 20, and it's still going to be positive 20. Then we've got negative 5 times positive 2, and I did make this positive 2 in parentheses just so we're clear about it. Negative 5 times positive 2, well, we know 5 times 2 is 10, but one sign is negative, one is positive, so the answer is going to be negative 10. Let's do it with division. Write down the problems and then try to solve them. All right, so you'll notice I started using kind of fraction notation, just another way to say division. So this problem is 10 divided by 2. Then we've got 10 divided by negative 2, negative 20 divided by negative 4, and then negative 20 divided by 4, or positive 4. Try to figure those out real quick. Well, let's get into it. So we've got 10 divided by 2. If you were to do that, it would look something like this. 10 divided by 2. Well, 2 goes into 10. I know that it goes into 10 5 times. Track that. We have no remainder, so it does go into 5 times. We've got a positive number divided by a positive number, so the answer is positive. 10 divided by negative 2. Well, all right. 10, still positive, negative 2 is negative, so our answer is going to be positive divided by negative. Oh, we've got one negative sign, so the answer is going to be negative. So this answer is going to be the same, 10 divided by 2, except it's going to be negative 5. Negative 20 divided by negative 4. We've got two negatives in the question, so the answer will have the positive sign. 20 divided by 4, well, that's positive 5. And here again, we've got negative 20 divided by positive 4. And so that answer is going to be -5 yet again. All right, I'm going to draw a triangle right here, and this is going to be our tool we're going to use. So draw that, and then I'll be right back with you to explain. All right, so here we have our triangle sign tool. So write all of this down. So sign tool, cover the two signs in your problem. The sign still showing is the sign you will use for your answer. So let's write down a couple of practice problems below here, and let's explore this tool. Make sure your notebook looks like mine, so if you have to pause the video, please take the time to do that. All right, so one, let's say we have 45 and then -2 in parentheses right next to it. This is a common way of writing 45 times -2. If we have 45 and then right after it, no space, we got in parentheses -2. This means 45 times -2. Well, let's try this out. I know that 45 times 2 is 90. But what's the sign going to be? So we've got a positive 45, so cover that. We've got a -2, cover that. So the sign remaining in our sign tool is going to be the sign of the answer. So it's going to be -90, because the negative was still showing. Number 2, 48 divided by -6. That's another way of writing it. Well, all right, so 48 divided by 6. I know that I kind of know my math facts. So 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 6 is 48. So I know the answer here, 48 divided by 6, is going to be 8. But what's the sign? Well, I've got positive 48 and -6. So let's cover the negative sign for -6, cover the positive sign for 48, and we're left with this negative sign. So I know that my answer should be -8. All right, do number 3 and 4 on your own, and I will check back and go over the answers. All right, so just to read over these problems really quickly here, number 3 is -39 times -3, and number 4 is a little bit trickier. Number 4 is -144 divided by -2 times -6. See if you can figure these out. So we've got a negative times a negative, so negative times a negative. That means our answer for number 3 is going to be positive. So we've got 39 times 3. Well, I know 30 times 3 is 90, and then 9 times 3, 9, 18, 27. So if I add 27 to 90, I'm going to get 117, and sure enough, it's going to be positive because we've got a negative times a negative. So that's our rule up here, negative times a negative. Number 4, all right, -144 divided by -2 times -6. So when we have a bunch of multiplication and division in a row, we know that we handle these left to right. So we're going to first start off with -144 divided by -2. So let's solve that first. Well, that's a negative divided by a negative. So our answer should be positive. So let's rewrite the equation down here. 144 divided by 2. Well, I know that half of 140 is 70. Half of 4 is 2. So our answer here, let's rewrite it. It's going to be positive 72 for those two, right? -144 divided by -2 will be positive 72. Negative divided by a negative equals a positive. And then let's bring down, we haven't dealt with multiplying yet, our -6. So now we've got 72 times -6. And if you do that in your calculator, you will see that you get 432, and the sign, we've got a negative times a positive, will be negative. I hope this is helpful in your homework. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great day.